Hey, it's Brian Mudd. I'll tell you right up front, you go to the physical cheat sheet today. I mean, you should every day anyway, but I'll never get everything into this video that I want to cover today. The audit rate. How likely are you to be audited this year? By the way, I should say that this is Thursday, April 12th. All right, so the likelihood of being audited is actually on the decline. There are a couple of things at play for this. There are actually budget cuts going on in the IRS. As much as government's growing everywhere else, there's actually 2.5% less money. So what we've actually seen is that there's more process and more inquiries. You know how they have been checking with more diligent measures electronically forms than ever before, which has even delayed refunds for many people up to 3 weeks so far this process. More inquiries, fewer people actually knocking on the door and doing audits. The audit rate is likely to go from 1.1% last year to under 1% overall, about 0.9%, for the first time since 2006. So you actually, on average, have less than a 1% chance of being audited. However, it will be tiered according to your means. Those who make $1 million or more this year are still likely to have a 10% chance of being audited. Teen pessimism. This one really breaks my heart, and this is something that comes to me from my friends at Junior Achievement. Teen pessimism is on the rise, and dramatically. Teens are 45% more pessimistic about their financial futures than they were just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 90%, 89 to be exact, percent of teens thought they would do as well or better than their parents financially. The number today, barely 1 in 2 children, teenagers. There's a role to be played here as a parent. Even if they might be right, unfortunately, because of the direction this country is going and all the various problems we face and the debt that is being burned onto your kids, you still have to play a role to teach and budget your kids at an early age. Only 56% of teenagers say that their parents have spent any time teaching them how to budget. This is where you come into play. Get them involved early, teach them the value of money, tell them the information they need to know to help get them ahead of the curve early in life so they can build their own financial future. The problems you can't deal with, you can't deal with those. You handle that at a voting booth. The problems and things you can control, you absolutely must these days, and your kids must too. All right, best and worst jobs of 2012. Here's an interesting one for you. I've got the complete list on my physical cheat sheet. Let me just give you the best overall job for 2012, software engineer. Worst job in the world? The odds are you're not in this profession, so no matter how bad your day is today, how frustrated you get, be glad you're not a lumberjack. Lumberjack, the worst job for 2012. The whole list is interesting of the best and worst, so check out the physical cheat sheet. And I've got some information about our credit situation here in South Florida. Now, our regional information comes out of Fort Lauderdale, so this includes a swath of Fort Lauderdale covering Palm Beach County into the Treasure Coast, okay? Our overall credit score is still down against the national average at 652 versus 660 nationally. So our credit still is not where it needs to be. But there is better news on credit cards. If you go back 3 years ago to when we were coming out of the midst of the economic crisis, we had substantially more debt in our area than the rest of the country. That's now no longer the case. The average credit card balance by an adult in South Florida is $5,100. The national average is, rounding off, $5,900. So we're actually carrying a decent amount, about 14-15% less debt on our credit cards than the rest of the country on average. And that bodes well that we have learned our lesson about debt. By the way, our average mortgage balance is just over $200,000 against the national average of around $160,000. The more information about that, too, if you want to drill down, is on the physical cheat sheet as well. And real quick, Samsung. They are coming out to combat Apple and even compete a little bit on the lower end against the Kindle Fire and against the Barnes & Noble Nook Color. We're actually seeing 2 new Galaxy products coming out April 22nd. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Tab is the #2 player in tablets prior to the Amazon Fire coming out. They've been bumped to #3 since. But they're coming in with these 2 offerings. Their higher-end model is going to be at $400, so they're beating the low-end iPad by $100 in price. And they are coming in with a 7-inch small tablet at $250. That's obviously aimed to be going at the $200 products of the Kindle Fire and the Nook Color tablet. Should be interesting because they made good tablets previously. As the cheat sheet for today, enjoy yours. See you on Friday.